Okay, in this video I want to talk to Mark van Rijmenam. Mark has written a book about the organization of tomorrow.
Yes, correct.
This is looking at how technologies like AI, blockchain, IoT are impacting the organization. I believe it's based on your PhD research, and now you are a well-known influencer in this technology space. Maybe you can give me an overview of the book and what some of the key messages are.
Sure, Bernard. Great to be on the show, and great to finally to meet in person as well. And so yes, I indeed published 3 months ago, I think, my third book called The Organization of Tomorrow, and really diving into how AI, blockchain, analytics really change every organization into a data business. And that is indeed based on my PhD, which I completed earlier this year from the University of Technology in Sydney, where I looked at how these technologies change organizations, and where I did research on how big data changes sort of the empowerment within your business and how you can use it to understand the environment, how blockchain changes decision making and really creates new types of organizations, and how we can use AI and how can we ensure that the AI agent does what we want it to do. So that formed together my PhD, looking at how technology changes organizations. And I turned that into a management book, which is easy to read, because generally PhDs are very difficult to read.
Nobody wants to read.
Nobody wants to read. No. So I thought I'll turn it into a management book, which is easy to read, and still be able to help organizations. Because when I talk to organizations, I notice so many are struggling with, one, what are these technologies? Two, what do I need to do with it? And how do I digitally transform my business? And in the book, I set out to help organizations with that.
Okay, so what are some of the major impacts of these technology? When you say they're changing organizations, in what way are they changing organizations from your research?
Sure. So if we look at big data, big data has been around for about a decade or so, or maybe even longer. We both have been in this space for quite a long time, and you see more and more organizations really using this big data to, on the one hand, understand their environment. So if you have different data sources and you combine them and you create the insight, you can get a better understanding to sort of sense the different opportunities around your business. And once you sense them, you can then start to seize those opportunities that are available, which will then lead to transforming your business accordingly. But when you do that, when you are using analytics to understand your environment, you are also at the same time changing your culture and empowering your employees. Because no longer are the C-level executives the ones who have the monopoly on knowledge and information. Now you have everyone within your organization to understand what's going on and to make a decision based on real-time information. So that's one key thing that changes. The other thing is that if you have real-time information, that changes also when you need to make your decisions and how you go about. If you are used to getting your reports once every week or once every month, you had, at the same time scale, you have to make your decisions. But if your decisions of your insights are coming in real time, you need to act accordingly. So that's just one example of how these technologies are changing your organization quite fundamentally, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a good example, because once you have real-time data, you understand micro moments where you have opportunities. It then means you need to adapt your business processes and you need to be able to respond to that.
Yeah.
So big data, AI, how is AI changing businesses?
Well, AI is, I think, what you can say is can be used to automate your business, obviously, to automate the different processes and customer touch points, where you use either robotics, for example, to really create this machine-human interaction. You can think of an exoskeleton, which can be used to make life in the factory for the workers easier.
Yeah.
Or you have more like cognitive systems, where you use a chatbot in the first line of defense for like a customer services call center to take off to the first level of questions. And where a chatbot is basically talking to your customers and interacting, allowing your agents to have more time for other more challenging questions. And the final area, which you can artificial intelligence, you can see of the cognitive space, which is like the chatbots or where humans and machines collaborate in a digital way. You have the robotics phase, where you have humans work with actual robotics, and you have the information space, where we see machine learning helping you to learn tasks based on the data that you train them on. And the combination of these three, so cognitive, robotics, and machine learning, is what I would say AI is what I would say the seamless. Sorry, I have to do this over. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. You can cut that. Yeah, okay. So if you have the cognitive, the robotics, and the machine learning, the seamless integration of these three domains, that is what artificial intelligence is. Nice. And if you're able to create that and embed it within your business, then you'll start to see that you're slowly starting to automate different processes and become a more efficient and effective organization.
And blockchain is the other technology that you focus quite a lot on in your research and your writing. How is blockchain going to change businesses?
Well, for one, blockchain has the potential to completely redesign how we build organizations. The most futuristic version of the organization of tomorrow is a so-called decentralized autonomous organization, which basically means an organization run by computer code without any employees and without any management. That is because you have data which becomes immutable, verifiable, and traceable. Of course, that's still quite futuristic. We see some initial examples, but for the organization of today, if they want to use blockchain, I think that the main benefits to use blockchain is in the supply chain, because it enables you. I think actually that blockchain is the golden standard for supply chains, because it allows you to connect and interact peer-to-peer with your industry partners on a way that we used to do with a lot of paper and very complex supply chains. Now we have one single source of the truth, one single source of data that we all share, and we all have the same insights, and we can make decisions based on that. And that's, I think, it's actually a miracle that we managed to create such complex supply chains in the world. Yeah, if you know how many different parties are involved and different documents are required, but with blockchain we will be able to make that more effective and efficient, but at the same time more transparent, ensuring the provenance of either the product of or the data as well, and with that create a better supply chain for everyone.
Are there any particular examples where you would say actually these are really good leading edge applications of blockchain? Anything that stands out for you that you've seen recently?
There's a lot of, every industry is experimenting with blockchain, but the challenge is because the ecosystem is still being developed, these are still small experiments.
They're all in pilots.
They're all in pilots. I haven't seen full-scale applications across industries being developed. You can see, for example, Walmart is really experimenting with putting mangoes and Chinese pork on the blockchain, just to understand where does the product come from and what happens, where is it when something goes wrong. And that's a clear example of being able to find it. We have examples of a startup called Everledger working with blood diamonds to put blood diamonds on the blockchain, so that you can know whether a diamond is or is not a blood diamond. And you see, especially in retail, because that's of course where the supply chain is, a lot of examples, a lot of pilots of companies trying to experiment with this, but unfortunately not yet full-scale implementations.
So we know what the impact is. How do businesses now get ready for this future enabled by technology? So how do they become an organization of tomorrow? What are some of the steps they can take? How do they prepare for this? What do they need to think about? What are some of your top tips there?
So I think if you want to digitally transform your business, what I did in the book, The Organization of Tomorrow, is come up with a model, a 4-step model, how to do that. Because it's, knowing what these technologies is one, obviously you need to do something with it. So I came up with the D square plus A square model, which basically means you need to datafy your business, distribute your data, analyze your data, automate your processes and customer touchpoints. So that basically means if you want to...
That it happens in that order.
Yes, it happens in that order. And you can do that for a very small process within your organization, or of course for your entire organization.
So what would this be like in practice?
Yeah. So what it would be like in practice is you need to first start with collecting the data.
Yeah.
So only when you have data available, you can turn an analog process into a digital process.
Yeah.
And once you have a digital process, then you can start to optimize it.
Yeah.
So you need to start collecting data from sources that you might not yet collect data. So that means you need to start using a sensor, for example, or using or getting other external data sources that can be relevant. So you need to start to datafy the process or the customer touchpoint that you want to optimize. Once you have the data, obviously you need to distribute it. You need to do something with it. And on the one hand, you can use the cloud. So you use the cloud, either a private cloud or a public cloud or hybrid cloud for that matter. But you use a cloud if you're talking about internal processes. If you're talking about collaborating with industry partners, then you can start to look into how you can use blockchain. But blockchain is definitely not a solution for all problems. You know, you can't. There's no need to use blockchain for your internal data storage. There's absolutely no need for that. Once you have the data distributed, it becomes time to start analyzing. So you use descriptive analytics, predictive or prescriptive analytics to understand what is going on and to get those insights to better understand the context of your organization. And while doing that, you can then start to learn how to automate your processes, either with artificial intelligence or with smart contracts, if you're working with industry partners, to really optimize and digitally transform your organization.
Fantastic. What do you see as some of the biggest pitfalls or challenges that organizations need to be aware of or need to tackle if they wanted to capture the data, distribute, analyze, and then automate their organizations? Any particular key challenges you're seeing?
I think when you talk about basically digitally transforming your business, there are three key challenges that organizations face. One is the technology, which is the lesser of all the challenges. You know, technologies can be developed, and that's not, well, this still needs to be developed, but that's not that big a challenge. But it still needs to be done. You know, the blockchain ecosystem is by far from ready, so we still need to work on that. The second challenge is the skills and talent that you need to have, which is already a bigger challenge, because you need to educate your staff, or you need to hire new staff to help you in this transition to become a data organization. But the third challenge is the biggest challenge of them all, which is culture. Because in the end, digital transformation is a cultural problem or cultural challenge, and not so much a technical challenge. Because the technology can be developed, you know, but you need to change the mindset of your employees. You need to change how your business is run, and changing employee but also customer behavior is way more difficult than building a new type of technology.
Fantastic. So you've just moved back from Sydney to the Netherlands.
Yes.
What is next for Mark? What are you working on at the moment? What's coming up?
Well, I'm working on a very new, exciting project. So I'm working on a project called Imagine, and the project Imagine is we're trying to build a reputation protocol for the web to bring a bit of trust to the web, which I think is pretty much lacking at the moment. So in the current online world that we have, you know, fake is the new normal basically. You know, everything is fake news, fake bots, fake clickbaits, whatever you can think of, and there's no accountability on the web. You can literally say anything you want without any, you know, consequences. And what we try to do with Imagine is we try to build this reputation protocol, which on the one hand can get rid of fake news, fake bots, click farms, because if you know certain reputation of someone, that already gives you more confidence. And if I, for example, require a minimum reputation for someone to follow me, you know, you get rid of bots. But more importantly, it will also, what we're trying to do, allow you to remain anonymous, but be held accountable. And those are two concepts which up to now couldn't go together, because how can you be held accountable if you're anonymous? But thanks to the new technologies, for example, such as zero knowledge proof, that becomes possible.
Interesting.
So we're launching in the next couple of weeks our MVP. We do that on my other company, dataflock.com, that I have, a content platform, where we launch a browser plugin to allow you to rate articles based on quality, fake news, probability, and plagiarism probability. And then we have a search engine which allows you to find those articles based on the quality of the article, fake news probability, but also based on the reputation of the author. So if you're looking to find the best author on big data, for example, now you have to read through all the different articles yourself, which is kind of challenging. And with this, that won't be possible. It won't be necessary anymore. It's like an IMDb, but then for articles.
Fantastic. Good luck with all of this.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.